Today we're going to talk about Borage officinalis, or borage, starflower. Although most of the time I hear people refer to it as borage, and that's what we refer to it as. And you can see we have some borage right there. That's it, and I'll show you a close-up here in a minute. We plant borage basically in a lot of different places on our property, in our food forest, in our medicinal and culinary herb garden, obviously here in a hoop house with tomatoes. And we have peppers in here, and we have marigolds, and we have some other flowers in here that help aid in the tomatoes and peppers and melons for companion planting purposes. And so that's one of the great aspects of borage that we'll talk about, and among many others. So it's a great plant. This is actually the first time that we've ever grown borage in our hoop house, and it's really interesting because this plant is actually native to the Mediterranean, and so that's obviously the bioregion that it would thrive in. But it has been naturalized, and it has adapted very well to a wide locale. Okay, so way north. It's cold hardy. I mean, it's an annual, but it'll be a reseeding annual even in a cold environment. You can see it's flowering now. Here we're in North Idaho. Of course, this is in our hoop house, but we have it outside of our hoop house. And it's also flowering there right now too. And so it's mid-June, North Idaho, we're 48 degrees north latitude, and it's doing well, right? I mean, it's doing beautifully. In fact, I underestimated its growth in here, and it's crowding out my peppers. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to deal with that. Well, one of the great uses of borage, besides companion planting, which obviously we're doing in here, well, I'll just talk about that first. Companion planting with tomatoes and brassicas and spinach, things like that. It supposedly will confuse certain pests from attacking tomatoes. All right. It also, to me, one of the best parts about this, and more so than even fighting against pests or confusing pests, is that it flowers for a long period of time. It's flowering now in June. It'll flower all the way through September. Basically, it will flower through our whole growing season. That's amazing. That is awesome. That's what we want. We want, and we do, we work on this throughout all of our gardens, is having something blooming from spring to fall. Okay, for us, that's our growing season. We can't do it year round. And so this is a great plant for that. But the other thing is, it's a food. It's a food, okay? So it's edible. So the leaves are edible, the flowers are edible. The flowers are used as garnishes and drinks. They've been used as certain botanicals to make things like gin, okay? So, we use it as basically an added mix to salads. So we're pulling wood sorrel and dandelion and borage and real it's a strong salad. Okay, well, there's some bitters in there and things, but we love it. It's really good. So, it's an edible. It has a cucumber taste to it, the leaves, and I don't know about in the United States so much, but in places in Europe, it's actually widely used as an edible. And it's good. Again, it has that cucumber taste to it. The flower, also very tasty. Not my favorite flower. Probably my favorite flower is black locust, as far as edible, but very good. Okay, not bad at all. Kind of a sweet. You can tell. You taste the flower, and you go, yeah, that's going to be a garnish for a drink. Okay, for some type of gin drinks or a martini, something like that. I could see it happening. No question about it. Okay, so it's an edible. It's an awesome plant. So in addition to all of the wonderful benefits that we've talked about so far, like the fact that it's flowers from spring to fall pretty much, well, from the growing season for us, widely adapted, self-seeding annual, edible, both leaves and flowers, very tasty, used for garnishes and drinks, used to make gins, and it's used for its seed oil. So people will collect seeds and use it. Has a high percentage, like something like 25 to 30%, the borage seed oil in the seeds itself. So that's a really high percentage. It is a medicinal. So both traditionally and currently, people will use it currently for its medicinal properties. And the other great benefit for us, and one of the reasons we grow it, besides everything we've just talked about, is the fact that it can be used as a fertilizer tea. Okay, so just like we use comfrey fertilizer tea, we can use borage fertilizer tea, or even better, where you mix comfrey, borage, nettle, dandelion, basically any of these plants that will accumulate certain nutrients, you know, and you put that mix together, and then it creates a great fertilizer tea. It's you know, on par really with comfrey, not the biomass production for sure, but the you know, the nutrients, the macro and the micronutrients. It's high in calcium, kind of like the comfrey, and other micronutrients like that, and then even the macros. It's good with all that too. So it's a good mix. I mean, we will cut some of it out, especially to give some room to our peppers here, and then use it in our fertilizer teas. All right, so let's take a closer look at the plant itself. And coming in, well, first thing you would notice, if you could see it in person, is that it's about 2.5 feet tall. And borage can get a little bit over 3 feet, but as far as I know, it doesn't get much bigger than that. And certainly what we've grown here is not. In fact, this is the biggest borage plant we've ever grown. Our borage for us does fine, but it just doesn't grow that big. The other thing you'll notice is the stalk itself is hairy. Same thing with the leaf. You know, although, you know, again, it doesn't hurt to the touch, and I can eat it here, no problem. The flowers are awesome. They're just really beautiful. They're complete. They have these 5 narrow triangular petals, very distinct. Okay, so you can't. It's kind of hard to miss that. They are, most of the time, in fact for us, it's always been kind of that blue color. You might get a little bit of pinkish, although some people have found borage to produce, probably an anomaly, maybe pink flowers, and in some cases even white, although we have not seen that here. And then the flowers themselves kind of bloom, you know, multiple at a time, but they'll do it just over the whole season. So it's really cool. It's a beautiful plant. It really is great. Now let's take a look at my goof here on just putting the peppers in too close. You know, I guess I just used to the borage growing outside of our hoop house up here, and you know, so it just doesn't really crowd them in this much. But here, you know, here, just show you one of our pepper plants, cayenne pepper here, doing awesome. I mean, we're mid-June in North Idaho, and we've got all these really wonderful peppers on. And so all I'm going to do is I am not going to chop and drop this plant at all, because I want all these blooms. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of prune on the outsides. You know, take these lower leaves. It'll kind of look funny after this, but and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those leaves and I'm going to add them to our comfrey, or to our fertilizer tea. It won't be a comfrey fertilizer tea. I'm actually going to do a mix today, and it's going to be borage, comfrey, and nettle. So that's going to be pretty awesome.